Welcome back to another video. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. Fulham 0, Tottenham Hotspur 1 in the Premier League. I've got David from the Irish Hotspur with me. David, how did you see today's game? Were you delighted with the 3 points? Were you delighted with the performance?
Look, first and foremost, what I'll say is I don't care how we play. It's about getting the 3 points, building up momentum, and keep teams ticking over nicely. Keep picking up the points. If you can't win, make sure you draw. And obviously, at the ultimate end of the outcome, make sure you win, no matter how. Look, you can't play amazing football every game. There comes a point where these games take their toll on you. Look, Gareth Bale, his minutes have to be managed. Toby Alderweireld, his minutes have to be managed. So, look, today it wasn't great. It wasn't a great performance. Look, let's not lie about it. Let's not beat around the bush. It was an awful performance. But what I took away from this game is the fact that, you know, they hung in there for 90 minutes. They stay switched on. Okay, you know, you can argue we got lucky with the VAR decision, but we also should have had a penalty given to Harry Kane. So, you know what I mean? It equals itself out. We've been on the receiving end of some bad decisions this year. So we got one. So I'll take it. I don't care how it comes. But at the end of the day, we showed grit. We showed desire. We showed passion. And we showed that we can't keep a clean sheet. It's no surprise that, you know, Sanchez and Alderweireld, now that they're getting a run of games, they're building up a nice little partnership. Like, before going into this game, they were involved in our last 2 clean sheets in the Premier League, West Brom and Burnley. They came in today, another clean sheet. But the major thing I took from this game is the lack of squad depth we have, Chris. Like, we had to rotate the full-backs today. Uriah and Reguilon, they're only back from a long-term injury, so they can't play this many games in a short space of time. It was a wise decision to pick Palace as the game they're going to return, because we're going to need their pace, because they have Eze, Zaha, Schlupp, Townsend. So it was a wise decision not to play them tonight. But the 2 boys that came in today, Ben Davies and Doherty, god awful today. Doherty, at the end of the first half, all he had to do was hold his position. What he done is the person ahead of him had it under control, but what he done is he stepped out and gave him the space to run into, and they nearly scored off the back of it. Ben Davies, how many times there in the second half did they get the ball and his man, he was 15 yards away from his man, and all he had to do was get the ball down and cross it in, which then gave them the momentum then to bring on Mitrovic, because it's exactly what happened the rest of the game. They got the ball out wide and crossed it in, because our fullbacks can't defend. And it's no surprise that when we were relying on these guys, forms dipped. The form dipped, the results dipped. And when Uriah and Reguilon were back in against Burnley, we seen the football we did, because when you have Reguilon and Uriah, they're comfortable on the ball in pressure situations. They can pass out from the back. They can also drive out from the back with it. And they can also defend. These guys, Doherty and Davies, they're always caught in no man's land. Always. It's not good enough. I think if we had Uriah and Reguilon in there today, I think we would have mopped these easy. I really do.
I agree. I totally agree. I think it's very, very different with them 2 out when you've got Doherty and Davis in there. David, talk me through the goal, because obviously, you know, it was the only goal in the game. It's been credited as an own goal in the end, but Dele Alli had a huge part in that. Lovely to see Dele Alli back in the starting 11 in the Premier League, and the smiles and handshakes are back with Heung-min Son as well.
Yeah, look, it was perfect from a aspect of Gareth Bale got the ball. He cut inside. He showed strength and power. Cut inside and delivered a fantastic ball to Dele Alli. As soon as Bale got on that ball, Dele, Kane, and Son, they were already gone. The ball straight to Dele Alli's feet. Perfect. Dele Alli, okay, missed kind of control the ball, slowed the attack down a little bit. He gave it to Son. Now, Son only had one option. He was always going to go on the outside. But to have the strength to hold his man off, get on the outside, get the ball across, and from the position he was in, because it's very easy to hit the side netting or put it straight to the keeper. He pulled it back. He asked questions of the keeper. Dele Alli got his foot onto it. Okay, their defender touched it in, but it was already going in. I think it's harsh. I think you have to credit Dele Alli with the goal. But for them 3 to all be combined in that goal, even though they didn't play well, it's brilliant. It's brilliant, because at the end of the day, if you can't score goals, at least be involved in goals. And that's what they've done. They're just keeping it ticking over nicely. Like I said, you're not going to be able to play this pretty football every game. The amount of games that come quick and fast, you've seen it with even some of the bigger teams. You are going to have a drop off in some games. Like, coming into this game, Chris, we haven't won any of our midweek games this season in the Premier League.
Yeah,
but we won tonight, so it's another hoodoo off the back. Another thing I'd actually like to touch on, Chris, is the second half. So I've spoke to you a couple of times, basically saying we've either put in a good first half or a good second half.
Let's come back a minute. I just want to ask your thoughts. At half time, how did you feel? Because I felt it was a very good half from Tottenham. You know, when you look at that starting lineup as well, you know, Dele Alli, Gareth Bale in there, Heung-min Son and Harry Kane. You know, Tottenham's fans' dream really of thinking those four in the starting 11. You know, we're going to create so many chances. We're going to score so many goals tonight. You know, I had people before the game on the channel saying 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. You know, they were all expecting goals. So at half time, how did you feel? I know we'll come on to the second half, but at half time, I felt very positive. What about you?
Look, I felt like we were in control. I was expecting us to come out in the second half and honestly take the game to them. But, you know, Chris, I spoke to you many times. Putting on 90 minutes together is a problem. Like we've seen it time and time again. You either get a good 45 minutes where we're leading at halftime, or we're going in 1 or 2 down at halftime when we try and claw it back and have a good second 45. The team hasn't put a good 90 minutes together this season in any sort of meaningful game. It's like even against Wolfsburg when we bet them 4-0 in the second leg. The first half was poor, but the second half was good. You know what I mean? It just goes to show, imagine what we could do if we actually put 90 minutes together. But I honestly felt, coming out into the second half, I felt confident. I felt in cruise control. But it just didn't happen that way.
How do you feel watching your club just sitting and inviting the pressure and just sitting on a 1-0?
Yeah, see, this is what concerns me. Like, there's no way Jose Mourinho was sitting there at half-time saying, right, lads, sit back. Well, surely he was sitting there saying to them, you know, play the same way you played the first half. Keep going. Let's kill this game off. Because, look, Fulham had the lowest amount of goals scored at home this season. And I always say with Fulham, once you put 2 by them, they're not winning the game, especially this Fulham team. They don't convert enough chances. They've only 4 wins all season, 11 draws. It just goes to show that, you know, they don't score many. But I don't think it was a case of us sitting back, Chris. This game, I actually think it's a case of Fulham caught our number. Like, for the first half, as good as we were playing, I did feel like that Ndombele and Højbjerg were getting overrun in midfield. I think Fulham had the extra man in midfield, and it was shown at times in the first half. But the second half, because they only went in 1 down and they weren't punished really, because we had some chances to punish them, they gained momentum, they gained confidence, and they came out. And look, they just overrun us. Then Jose Mourinho, interestingly, he made 2 substitutions. He brought off Dele Alli and Gareth Bale. In my opinion, at the time, I thought I was right. And just let me explain why. So, first of all, Dele, he's not fit enough to complete 90 minutes. We know that. So, for me, you know, he was tiring. Take him off. We also needed an extra man in midfield, which meant we had to switch from a 4-2-3-1 to a 4-3-3. And that's ultimately what you see. He brought on Moussa Sissoko for Dele Alli. He played in there and put an extra body in midfield. He brought off Gareth Bale. And look, I said before the game personally that if he did start, I did think you'd only see him for 60, 70 minutes. He has to be managed. His body has to be managed. So it was no surprise that he came off and we brought on Lucas, put him out right. But when we switched to a 4-3-3, you're hoping that Sissoko comes on. He gets in and around that midfield and he makes a difference. He didn't. He stood off with the rest of them and let them play. And the same pattern was continuing. Fulham were just getting the balls down the sides and they were just putting balls in the box looking dangerous. But one thing Jose Mourinho did do is he thought by making that change he was making a positive impact on the game. It didn't work that way because look, Sissoko, whatever's going through his mind, I don't think he wants to be at Tottenham right now. You could see that with that game he had against Chelsea. There's something going on. So the personnel wasn't right to do that. But he realised his mistake and then brought Lamela on. And as soon as he done that, we reverted back to a 4-2-3-1, and which meant we kept the ball in their half come the last 10 minutes, and that's what got us over the line ultimately.
Yeah. David, who really impressed you? You know, Tottenham wise, who was your man of the match tonight?
Being honest, first of all, I've been a huge critic of Davinson Sanchez. I want to praise him tonight. I thought he had a very good game. He's building a run of confidence. Look, if he can keep this going to the end of the season, all well and good. Is he the answer? Do I still think we need to buy centre back in the summer? Of course we do. Of course we do. But what we need is one between him and Dyer to step up and get in beside Alderweireld and start keeping some clean sheets. And Sanchez seems to be taking on that mantle. So fair play to him. But my man in the match tonight, honestly, I thought our 10 outfield players, I wasn't really impressed with any of them. My man in the match tonight was actually Hugo Lloris and some of the saves he pulled off tonight. Yeah. That was my man of the match.
Yeah.
Especially near the end. What I was most impressed with, Chris, what I was most impressed with is, so over that bad running period, we were questioning Hugo Lloris's command in his area. We seen balls come across 6-yard box. He wasn't coming out and taking them. But when they got a corner near the end to put the pressure on, he came out and took that ball. He came out and plucked the ball out of the air and relieved the pressure. And that's crucial, especially at the time he done it. And that's the thing I was most, amongst all his saves, the thing I was most impressed with was taking that leadership at that time and coming out and commanding his area and taking that ball and relieving the pressure.
David, there's a lot of Tottenham fans tonight very unhappy with that second half performance. But of course, we have to take all of these positives because, you know, you and I spoke a couple of weeks ago and it was all very doom and gloom. Top four looked very bleak. It didn't look like it was going to happen. And now we're finding ourselves 4 points away from that top 4 place. Now, you know, in the last week, we've kept 3 clean sheets. You know, I know I've said this on previous videos. A lot of people are going to say, yeah, but it was only Wolfsburg, it's only Burnley. And now they're going to say, well, it's only Fulham, right? But every game is a difficult game. You've got to win, against the teams in front of you. We're facing Crystal Palace next on Sunday at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Surely Jose Mourinho, you know, for one, and the main one, you know, being the manager who, you know, we're in such poor form up to those games. And we need wins in the Premier League and you know, we've got a couple on the trot now and 3 clean sheets as well in all competitions. You know, surely they're going to take huge confidence going into this Crystal Palace game. And then, of course, the Arsenal North London derby coming up as well. You know, we've got to take so many positives out of this last week or so, haven't we?
Yeah, look, the only negativity coming out today, and it's the Jose out people, honestly. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to say we were lucky or this or that. But at the end of the day, look at the positives. Like, this is a manager that supposedly was finished a couple of weeks ago, and Nagelman was coming in, Rodgers was coming in. You know, he lost the dressing room. That doesn't look like a dressing room that's lost to me. That doesn't look like a man that's under pressure to me. At the end of the day, you can't play pretty every single game, especially like we have to remember we've played a long Europa League campaign. We've had qualifiers, we've had the group stage, we had the leg of 32, we've had the league, we've gone all the way to the final League Cup, we've had FA Cup games. These games take their toll on the team eventually. Jose has to rotate, and like all this time when people were Jose out, I was coming on here and other platforms, and I was saying the problem is the players. When you have certain players playing, you can't play the way you want to play. That was proven tonight, Chris. That was proven tonight with the fullbacks. You just can't play football with them. So you can't play the way you want to play. It's all about being positive. At the end of the day, sometimes it's not how you win. It's just getting the win and getting over the line and building that momentum. When you get that winning feeling, you build that momentum, you get confidence. When you get confidence, you get great play, you get players that are in form, and then you usually get a streak of wins that come together. You know what I mean? You keep building points. You don't lose. But what I'm impressed with is we learned our lessons from the last game with Fulham. This had the last game written all over it. We went in 1-0 at half time. Could have been 2-3-0 up. They came out second half, battered us, got the result. We learned our lessons. We learned our lessons, and it's a positive. So we got revenge. And now we've Palace lined up. They also done the same to us a few weeks ago, you know, when they took that 1-1 off us. Now we have another chance to put things right on Sunday and restore some order in London the way it should be, with Tottenham Hotspur at the very top. Yeah. And we're going about a nice way of doing it. We have Arsenal after that, the North London derby. So look, and I've always maintained, I still think we can get top 4. We're 4 points off it. We've a big game the weekend. There's other teams that are up around there that are going to drop points at the weekend. And all of a sudden, we're right back in the mix again. Never, ever give up on Jose Mourinho and this Tottenham team. Ever.
Well, a question here on screen, David. We lose and we're unhappy, and we win and we're still unhappy. What does this team need to do for the fans?
I'm not unhappy. Look, it's on yourself if you're unhappy. Chris isn't unhappy.
I'm absolutely delighted with the 3 points. I tell you, if any Tottenham fan is unhappy with the 3 points tonight, I just can't understand that because, you know, it's all about grinding results out in the Premier League. And I don't think that any team or any opposition in the Premier League is an easy game. They're all difficult games. I know there's a cliche, and I know a lot of managers just say, oh, every game is a difficult game, but it is. It's very, very true. You have to grind out results sometimes. And, you know, 3 points at Craven Cottage tonight, you know, was an absolute must. We needed the 3 points. We've got the 3 points. Yes, it wasn't pretty football. Yes, a lot of us didn't enjoy watching that second half, but we've got to be happy. We've got to be happy that we've got those 3 points at the end of the day.
Yeah, 100%. Look, when Liverpool won the league, they didn't play pretty every week. There's some weeks they got over the line, but the fans were still happy. A win's a win at the end of the day. Just put this win into perspective. So, look, Fulham have actually, I have a few stats here for you, Chris. So, look, Fulham they haven't lost in their last 5 games. They've only conceded 1 goal in their last 5 games. They're on a good run of form. They've also picked up points against Liverpool at home. You know, they picked up some points off some big teams this year. They changed from a back 5 to a back 4, and it's helped them out immensely. Fulham's only problem, it's not defensively like it was at the start of the season. They've rectified that big time. Their problem is taking the chances when they present themselves. And that's Fulham's problem. So breaking them down was going to be a tough ask tonight. And I don't care. Sometimes when these teams are scrapping for points the way Fulham are at the minute, and you have to admire it, they're giving it their all to every game, and they're hard to beat. So when teams are scrapping for points, sometimes it's a case of rocking up there, just getting the job done and getting out, getting your 3 points and moving on to the next game. And that's exactly what's done tonight. If you're unhappy, it's on you. I get, okay, it's not the way you want to see Tottenham play. We all want to see the Tottenham way. But even when you played the Tottenham way and under Pochettino, there were still games where we got out, where we played poor. I can remember when we last played Fulham under Pochettino, Harry Winks getting that header last minute. We played shocking that day, but we got the job done and everyone was happy. So why not be happy tonight? It's job done. It's 3 points. It's momentum. We're moving. Our season's back on. Top 4 is in sight. Europa League, we've got a nice tie there. We should be in the next round. And if we can get in form going into the League Cup final, that's all of a sudden back on. Be happy. Be happy. The lads didn't let you down tonight.
Love it, David. David, this is going to be a really silly question now. You know, can we win on Sunday against Crystal Palace?
Oh, 100%, Chris. I told you I've been lining up that eagle, that mascot, for a few weeks now. And they really hurt me when they took that 1-1. I thought it was fully undeserved that day, especially with some of the chances we have. And again, like I said, it's time to restore some order around London. Let them know who the big boys are around here. Let's go and do them. Look, they are going to be a threat going forward. But we were playing a 4-3-3 back then. We're now playing a 4-2-3-1, and we look so much better. So it's going to be a different game entirely. And plus, it's at our stadium. It's a bigger pitch. So let's see how they cope with it when the space opens up.
And as you've said many times, you're still confident for that top 4 place.
Chris, you know me. I've never doubted it. I've always believed. Sometimes it's to my own downfall, but right now it's looking good. It's looking good. We're back in the mix. We win at the weekend. We're certainly in the mix. Why not? Why not? You have to believe sometimes as a Spurs fan. There's no success or trophies to lift in, so sometimes the only thing you have left is belief. And one thing I'll always be is positive.
Brilliant. I love it. I love your positivity. Lovely to have you on again, David. Always very welcome and lovely to talk to you. And let's hope that Tottenham can do the job again on Sunday and get another 3 points in the Premier League. David, thank you very much. Come on, you Spurs.
No problem, Chris. Thank you. Come on, you Spurs. In Jose we trust.